It's been a year and a half, I think, that I've been here, actually. Yeah, it was a year in October, and it's a great place to be. I'm grateful I'm here. I am Kim O'Brien, and I am an alcoholic. Hi, everybody. And I am really, really nervous. Really nervous. I want to thank Karen for asking me, and thank my friends that came to support me. I appreciate it. Where to start? I guess at the beginning. I'm supposed to tell you in a general way what it used to be like, what happened, and what it's like today. So I will try to do that. I'll give you some stats first. My sobriety date is April 2nd, 2011, but this is not my first rodeo. I have been, I've been around Alcoholics Anonymous since 1989, if not earlier than that. So AA has been a part of my life for a very long time. And I just want to say this, that I believe that AA works. Alcoholics Anonymous works 100% if I work it. If I don't work it, it doesn't work. It's all laid out for me. And if I choose to pick up the tools and continue to use them on a daily basis and get rid of self, then I have a chance at a really good life, which I've been given at times. And then I go ahead and pick up that self-will and start doing things my way. And just as AA gives me a life, I take that life away. So I just want to get that out of the way. Okay, my sobriety date, and I will be 57 years old this month. Better not leave this room. I am the oldest of 6 children. I have 2 children of my own. They're not kids anymore. My daughter will be 32 this month, and my son is 30. And I've lived most of my life up near the Cleveland area in Lakewood, Ohio. Although I was born in Philly and lived in New York until I was about 8. And before I came here to live, I was living in Texas, which was a wonderful place to be also. So, my story. Alcoholism has been a part of my life since the day I was born. My father is an alcoholic. And my parents met in college. My mother had 6 children within a 7-year period, which I can't even imagine. I mean, just having 2 was enough for me. And she's a great mom. She was, head cheerleader, top of her class, homecoming queen, you name it. She had the beauty and the brains. My father was a spoiled little rich kid, and both my parents were only children. So I can only imagine what it was like for them, to have 6 kids. Luckily, my dad, I think, looking back, traveled a lot for his job. So we really didn't see a whole lot of his drinking. My childhood was, it was good. It was great. I had some great aunts and uncles, my grandparents, just wonderful people around. And it was a good childhood. As I said, I'm the oldest, so I'm the one that got, all the theme birthday parties and the ponies at the birthday parties. And I still get, kidded about that today, that I'm the spoiled one. Which now I'll admit in this room that I probably was. But for all the good and all the great people that were there, as I was growing up, there was still that alcoholism. And as I got older, I began to realize, the drama that my father brought into the household. As that became more apparent to me, I was probably about 8 or 9. I took things to heart. I didn't quite know what was going on because everything in our house, if there was something wrong, we didn't talk about it. Everything was all right. Whatever he did the night before, it wasn't even, it just wasn't brought up. So I learned to escape a lot. And I was probably an overly sensitive kid. I was, I think, 5 years old when JFK was assassinated, and I was like, I didn't know JFK. I barely knew, but I took everything to heart. My sponsor sent me a lead or a speaker tape or speaker CD of the conference she went to last year, and this woman spoke of being an injustice collector. And when I heard that, it hit me right between the eyes, because injustice, I just thrived on it. I loved to read when I was a kid, and you name it, Anne Frank, Oliver Twist, Gone with the Wind. That was the biggie. What injustices. I thrived on that kind of thing. And, I love to escape. I love to escape through reading. Walt Disney was big back then. Beatles, that was another one. But, my thinking was so skewed by that time that, nobody else knew, and I didn't know it until I look back in hindsight. My idea of the perfect life would be to be in, live in Mary Poppins world. I didn't like reality. Even when reality was good, I didn't really like it. I always wanted to be somewhere else. So, my father's alcoholism progressed, and there was a lot of violence, a lot of craziness, and it was not dealt with. And, I just thought I was crazy as a kid. Doesn't anybody else see what's going on here? Doesn't anybody see the pink elephant in the living room? And it just wasn't dealt with until it came to a point where my mom couldn't take it anymore, and she divorced my dad. I was 13 years old, and I blame myself. That's how what an ego I have. Everything in the world, everything that goes on in the world is my fault. So my father left, and I was 13, and I was involved in school, in clubs, in sports, Girl Scouts, the whole shot. My mom did everything she could to involve us in whatever we cared to, join. And at the age of 14, I picked up my first drink. And when I did that, I found the great escape. It went far beyond reading and movies and, my own imagination. I loved alcohol from the get-go. My first drunk was on screwdrivers, and I blacked out, I puked, I passed out, and I was sick as a dog the next day, but I knew I was going to do it again. I knew it. It just made me feel like I was relaxed and part of the world. I felt good about myself. And so I think I was in the 8th grade, and I was on my way to high school. And like I said before that, I was a good kid. I got good grades. I helped my mom with the kids, you name it. And that summer, I just did a total about face. And as I said, I loved alcohol. I loved it. So whenever I had the opportunity to drink, I drank. And my mother got rid of one alcoholic, and here I am, coming up, and I'm going full speed ahead. I drank, and I drank a lot. A lot of my friends would be, as time went on, my friends would be concerned about hiding it from their families, about getting home and getting their homework done. But if I picked up a drink, I was off and running. I was 16, 17 years old, and I'd go out on 3-day binges. And I love the fact that I could drink guys under the table. I mean, I was all like 90 pounds, and I could just pound them back, I heard people speak down here about side dishes. And I just want to say that I did a lot of side dishes, and there were times in my life that they turned into, the main course. That's all I'm going to say about that. But usually, whatever was going on in whatever decade or whatever generation, I was probably doing that too. But alcohol is definitely my first love. And it was legal. So, I don't know, just time went on, and, I drank. Missed a lot of opportunities. As I said, I was the oldest. I was expected to go to college, all that good stuff, and I didn't want any part of it. I just wanted a party. And at times it was fun, especially when I was younger. When I was 19 years old, I got a job in downtown Cleveland, down on Playhouse Square. It was a big 3-story restaurant bar, and we catered to the theater, to the business crowds and stuff. And that was the longest job I've ever had, actually. It was 5 years. And like they talk about, Bill talks about in the book, I thought I had arrived. I mean, it was party, party, party. I mean, we drink after shift, we drink during shifts. I'd work lunch and then dinner. We'd drink in between shifts. Probably for a good 4 years or so, I drank pretty much every day, unless I was too hungover to do it. And I loved it. I remember one of the bartenders there said to me, I don't even think I was 21 years old. He said, I sat down at the bar. I was off shift, and I sat down to have a drink, and he said, you're an alcoholic. And I said, and he said, you need to learn how to control your drinking. You need to drink a little slower. So he suggested I drink scotch. So he poured me a scotch on the rocks, and I'll drink just about anything, but he poured me a scotch on the rocks and told me, it's a sipping drink, and just sip it. I hated the taste, and I just downed the thing, like a shot. So that didn't work out too well. The first time I came to Alcoholics Anonymous, I was probably about 21 or 22 years old. I was in a relationship with my ex-husband. I was used to blackouts. I mean, they were just part of my drinking. It wasn't a big deal to me. But at the time, I had a really bad blackout, really bad. And I was aware of Alcoholics Anonymous. I know we'd miss people on the bar stools, and we'd be like, where's so-and-so? And, they're at AA, And my ex-husband's dad had 40 plus years in the program, so I knew about AA. So anyway, this blackout really scared me, and somebody took me to an AA meeting. And as I said, I was about 21, 22 years old, and I could not imagine life without a bar, without a drink. I went for 2 weeks. I physically felt better, and I thought it's really nice for all you older people, but I'm out of here. And I was alcoholic by that time. After that, I continued to drink I'm really bad with times and dates and all that good stuff, but in 1981, a lot of things happened within just a few short months, and it was a pretty traumatic time for me and my family, and excuse me. I think within a 4-month period, I was pregnant. That was the first one. One of my younger sisters was killed in a motorcycle accident. She was only 20 years old down in Florida, and I got married. Now, you're talking to a person that, work was a party. I was living with my ex-husband at the time. He wasn't my ex-husband yet. And, you know, life was not about responsibility. And all of a sudden it became that. And I didn't know quite what to do. And I was scared. I was really scared because I couldn't really function without a drink. And I wasn't drinking, you know. And all this other stuff was happening around me, and here I am married, and I did not want to be married. I wasn't sure about the whole, you know, having a child thing. I was really angry at God for taking away my sister. And, you know, my ego is so big, I'm like, you know, I'm the screw up, why didn't you take me? Like, I'm going to tell God what to do. Once I came to terms with, I forgot to put my bracelet on. Once I came to terms with the fact that I was going to be a mom and a wife, I did the best that I could. The man that I married, he's a great, great guy. He was a great guy. He just passed away 2 years ago. I knew his family. I grew up with his brothers. And I knew that he was a hard worker. They were big in the unions up north. I knew he'd always have a job. He'd work hard. I knew he was loyal. He was Irish Catholic like everybody else up there. So, you know, he was a keeper. And that really isn't a reason to get married. And he was fun. I mean, we drank, you know, we partied, and that was really the basis of our relationship at the beginning. Anyway, I married this guy and proceed to try to do the white picket fence thing, and I did pretty well, actually. You know, at that point in my life, I would binge drink. I mean, I wouldn't drink for months, and then I'd go out with one of my friends or one of my sisters or sister-in-law. Well, not my sisters so much because they were not big drinkers, but I'd say I'm going out for a couple, you know, glasses of wine or a beer, and chances are I'd be coming home when the birds were singing. Because once I started to drink, I didn't want to stop. So I felt like a phony. I was a phony. I mean, here I am being the housewife and the mother and driving the kids to preschool and nursery school and being involved in you know, the kids' activities and the church and yada yada, and being the good little neighbor. And then here I am, you know, off and running sometimes, drinking. I mean, I would do 3-day binges sometimes, even with the kids. You know, but my mom, they were the first grandchildren, so everybody wanted them. So my mom would have the kids. But I remember taking them to nursery school with sunglasses on, you know, because I'd been up for a day or two. And I was a phony. And I wasn't really present, you know. I mean, I love my kids, but I wasn't really present at those times. And it was like I was acting. I was acting, you know, my life out, not actually living it. What next? In 1989, by that time I had gone through every kind of therapy known to man at that time, probably. My ex-husband had really good insurance, group therapy, individual therapy, therapy for this, therapy for that. I would buy every self-help book out on the market. He would come home sometimes and be like, I am going to throw these things out. Because whatever was in that book, I had, of course, whether I had it or not. You know, I knew there was something wrong with me, but the last thing I wanted to admit was that it was alcoholism, because I always wanted that escape route. And in September of 1989, that summer, Two of my sisters had gotten married. On the outside, everything looked good. My ex-husband was working like a dog, 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts. Money was good, you know, everything. On the outside, it looked great. And I had taken the kids down to Texas to visit for my sister's wedding, and came back up, and my other sister got married in August, and it just seemed like at that wedding that no matter how much I drank, I couldn't get drunk. And I just had that moment of clarity that, you know, watching everybody, watching, you know, my younger siblings and stuff and their friends, and thinking, you know, remember when you bought them their first six-pack, or, you know, when they were underage, or just, you know, stuff going through my head. And I remember that night. And then a few weeks later, I hadn't drank, but I drank a lot of NyQuil in those 2 weeks. As I said, I knew about AA, and some people that, you know, friends of mine had, of course, had joined AA. And I was in the kitchen. It was in September 11th, and I made a call to a friend of mine and said, I was making dinner waiting for my husband to come home. I had just baked some bread because I was, you know, a heck of a housewife. And I just called my friend and said, you know, I want to go to an AA meeting. And she said, great, I'll pick you up tomorrow night. And he came in the door, and I said, I'm going to go to AA tomorrow. And he said, oh, good for you. And I did. And I was given a big book, and I listened to a speaker. And as I said, I love to read, and I picked up that book, and I read it in 3 days, and I knew I was where I belonged. You know, they say if you can find yourself in the pages of the big book, then chances are you belong here. And I definitely, I mean, the answers were there. The feelings, everything. And I loved Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, I was on a pink cloud for a long time. It gave me the ability to live life, to be a part of my kids' lives, to be present, to really enjoy, and I will be forever, ever grateful for that. My ex-husband got sober a year after I did, and you know, life really, really was good. I love Alcoholics Anonymous, and it changed my life. I remember the first fourth and fifth step I did it with my sponsor, and an old-timer in the program told me, it was on a Saturday, she said, call me, you know, after you finish your fifth, and let me know how it went. And I said, okay, I will, Mag. And so I called her, and I had, you know, taken that hour, and the kids were with my mom, and I went to Mass that afternoon, and I'm walking home from Mass, and everything was like slower. The whole world was slower, and I'm thinking, what's going on here, you know? Just seemed like everything was at a nice, slow, peaceful pace. So I called Maggie, and I said, she said, how'd it go? I said, great. I said, but Maggie, you know, I was walking home from church, and everything seems like it's slowed down, you know? And she said, Kim, that's peace. I'm like, oh, really? Really? So I had some wonderful, wonderful people in my life. And as I said at the beginning, AA works. But as time progressed, I went to school, you know, life was good, and my ex wasn't being the husband that I thought he should be. So I made the really bright decision in 1996 to divorce this man that I had been with for a long time and had 2 children with. And I want to say this. I was taking my will back then, and I was lying. I was being dishonest. People would ask me how I was, and I'd say fine. And, I mean, they'd call me on it. How can you be fine? You're leaving a marriage, you know, and a relationship you've been in for, you know, close to 20 years. Oh, I'm fine. And I was lying. And I was on my way out at that time. I mean, it was a gradual process. And I was still going to meetings, but I wasn't sharing. I just wasn't being honest. And right before my divorce was final, I met somebody in the program. And I was going to fix this guy. And yeah, that's how far I've gotten off track. You know, self-will run riot. I couldn't even fix myself, and I'm going to fix somebody else. And this guy was a supposedly recovering heroin addict. And in August of August of '97, after 8 years of sobriety, I went back out. And you know, they talk about yets in this program, and all those yets have happened to me, you know, as time went on. You know, I was a little suburban housewife, and this disease has taken me to places that I never, ever, ever thought I'd go to. I would, you know, I lost my career. I lost my children. You know, I actually signed over custody of my kids to my ex-husband. And I even signed the house back over to him because I just, you know, I just didn't feel there was any hope for me. I would at times sober up for a while, go to another detox, which I've been to plenty. I've been to quite a few treatment centers. I'd sober up for a while, get back, maybe start getting back the trust of my kids, start seeing them, my family, and you know, I do it again. And that went on from 1997 until 2003. And I've lost everything by that time. I've lived in cars, you name it, you know, and I learned to do what I needed to do to get what I needed to get. I'm just going to leave it at that. By that time, you know, my kids were older. They had just about had enough. And there were family members that I had not talked to or seen in years. You know, everybody had had enough of me. And I don't blame them in the least. I better get this rolling. In 2003, I left a detox, my favorite detox, which I actually worked at for 4 years once I sobered up again. It's Stella Maris up in Cleveland. It's one of the oldest detoxes in the country. And I left there in May. In August of 2003, I was 46 years old, and I was sitting in my first jail cell. From that jail cell, I went to 2 county jails, and from there, I was transported to Oklahoma City in shackles and chains or handcuffs on Con Air. To the that's where they process federal prisoners, and I did a 2.5-year federal prison sentence in Alderson, West Virginia. So that's where my disease took me. I want to say this. When I was sitting in that first jail cell, my first sponsor told me, God is your only constant. And I thought, Mayor, well, yeah, I definitely believe in God. I believe in the miracle of sobriety and what He's done for me. But, I'm always going to have my kids. I'm always going to have my family. And I was sitting in that jail cell, and that thought popped in my deluded mind, and God is your only constant. Because by that time, God was my only constant. That's all I had left. My mind was just, it was mangled. And the first things that came to my mind when I was sitting in county jail was the Serenity Prayer. I couldn't even remember the Our Father. But all those one-liners came back to me. Live and let live was a biggie. One day at a time, this too shall pass. And Alcoholics Anonymous once again came through for me. It got me through that period. It brought me back to God. And, I'm so grateful to AA. Without it, I don't know if I could have gotten through those couple years. And I remember being in prison and writing a gratitude list every night. And there were things to be grateful for. I know Wallace talks about feeling freedom, being incarcerated. And I remember I was in West Virginia at Camp Cupcake. I was actually, my claim to fame is I was there while Martha did her bit. I remember being outside by myself in the little smoke shack looking up at the stars and just feeling that peace and that freedom. And, that's because of you guys. That's because of Alcoholics Anonymous and God. The only other thing I want to say about that is that a lot, some really bad things happened to my family while I was in there. My son, that's why I'm actually here, he is in the Army, and he went after his first year of college, and he did his first deployment in Baghdad. He was 19 years old, and I'm sitting in a federal prison, and I was scared to death. And God once again worked in my life by putting another woman in there. Her son was also in Iraq at the time. So God always gives me what I need, if I'm open to it. And we helped each other through that time. One of my sister in Texas, was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia while I was there, and she needed a bone marrow transplant, and I felt like I was just socked in the stomach, and but I did what you people taught me to do. I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed, and I prayed to God just for faith that whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. My sister got that bone marrow transplant, and she's doing well today. So, I don't know, and that also was time where my son and I could, although they were different circumstances and, different situations, we could relate, because we were both in places that were not familiar to us, and we were scared, and it took our relationship to a whole different level, as far as writing letters, which people don't do much anymore, and we talked a lot about God, and it was just good things. All I'm trying to, get to in this is good things happened during that time. So anyway, I got out in 2005. I got good time because I was good. And I went back to Cleveland, and I jumped back into Cleveland AA. And I also jumped back into a relationship, which is, I am not good with those. I got a job. Life was good, life was good. As I said, I worked at my favorite detox, was involved with Cleveland AA, and got into this relationship which I had no business getting into, and we got dogs and a washer and a dryer and a house and all those things that I never thought I'd have again, and he went back to school, finished school, and point being is I started losing focus once again, and he was, he relapsed in 2010, and I was honest with my sponsor, with my friends in AA, and all they kept telling me was get the hell out of there, just get out, and I wouldn't leave, and it wasn't because of my love for this person. It was because I didn't want to lose the washer and the dryer and the rose bushes and the tulips in the front yard and the 2 dogs. If that's the honest truth. And I picked up again, just for a short period, but in that short period I lost my job. I walked out on the relationship, the house, the whole bit, and then I proceeded for a few months to feel really sorry for myself, and picked up another drink for a couple months, and then that's when I went to Texas. I went to Texas to help out my old boss, who was the director of nursing, and she had moved down there. And I went down to help her out for, it was supposed to be a month and a half, and I got there, and the next day she saw that I was going through withdrawal, and she just came into the room and she said, if I had any sense, I would stick you back on a plane and get you out of here, she said, but I'm going to give you a chance. I love you, and I know what you're capable of. And I know that God loves you. And this woman is not an alcoholic, but she's one of those, just friends of an alcoholic, like a Sister Ignatia. And she's just, I love her to death. She's such a dear friend. And she gave me a chance. And again, life got good. And I got involved with AA down near Austin, Georgetown to be exact, and got a sponsor down there who is still my sponsor today, and it changed my life. It's changed my life since I got down there April 1st, and got sober April 2nd, and I really haven't looked back. Life is simpler today. I don't worry about what I have and what I don't have. My son, I can't believe that I'm actually here. I put my family through hell. My son, over the last 3 or 4 years, has, he and my daughter-in-law have asked me to move, with them. And then once he saw that I would move to Texas, well, why can't you move to Missouri? And then he got put here, and why can't you move to North Carolina? And I came to visit, and I loved it. So I went back and packed up my stuff and drove here to from Texas. And I'm really glad that I did. My kids lost their dad. It was 2 years ago in February, and it's time for me to really step up and be a parent, to be the parent that they need. And I'm just grateful that I've been given the opportunity to do that with my son. My daughter, not so much. She's up in Chicago. It'll be a year next month that any of us have spoken to her. She's got some issues of her own, and that's been really difficult for me. I was actually down in Texas last winter when my daughter's issues kind of came to a head, and I was losing my mind. Thank God, I was close to my sponsor, and she had strongly suggested, she had suggested for a while that maybe I go to Al-Anon, and I didn't take her up on that suggestion. And then when I thought I was losing my mind, when my daughter was going off the deep end, she strongly suggested it. And I came back, and I did begin to start going to Al-Anon, and I'm grateful, to Fern and to Jeanette for leading me to the Al-Anon meeting that I was able to find down here. Wallace talks about, he talked about his relationship with his daughter, and that gave me hope. He did that in the Big Book meeting one night, and that gave me some hope. So I continue to pray for my daughter, and I continue to do what I need to do each day for myself, because worry and fear are not going to get me anywhere. Taking care of myself, being an example, being a mother, to my daughter-in-law and my son, and just being present, helping who I can help. That's what I can do today. And if the time comes where, we can have a relationship, then it'll be in God's time, not mine. I just want to say real quick how I got kind of planted here at this home group. Through a set of circumstances, my home group down in Georgetown, the Way Out group, one of the guys down there, his sponsor was in Oklahoma, and his sponsor in Oklahoma's sponsor is actually Tom. So Eric hooked me up with Tom's number, and I was driving up through Dallas to see my sister before I left Texas to come to North Carolina, and I called Tom's number, and Fern answered. And she said, well, he's not here, and I explained who I was, and she said, well, actually, he's speaking in Dallas this week. Isn't that a coincidence? But he was, he and Fern were very, very welcoming to me, and he actually hooked me up right away with Karen P. And I'm so grateful for the people that God's put in my life, and for just being here today. It's a miracle that I'm even alive today, and I'm grateful that I've just been put in such a wonderful home group. I mean, I've never seen such a well-organized group in my whole life. My God. What a blessing, because I need that organization. My sponsor always tells me, God will give me what I need when I need it, and I believe that today. And she always talks about action, taking action, working with others, being helpful to whoever you come in contact with that day, to act better than I feel. I used to hate that what was the other saying? I don't know, but she always tells me to act better than I feel, and just to suit up and show up, whether I want to or not. And I try to do that today. I'm not 100% all the time, but I try to be as helpful as I can to people that I come in contact with at home. As I said before, I don't have a whole lot today, but I love what I'm doing. I love the job I have, and as long as I can physically do it, I'm going to keep doing it. I work outside. I don't know if it's on a ranch or a farm or whatever, but I'm outside, I'm loving it. I work with animals, and I couldn't ask for it. I'm with my son and my daughter-in-law, and hopefully one of these days grandchildren. What more can I ask for? I'm just really grateful, and next week I won't be here. I'll let everybody know at one time. I'm actually going up to Cleveland to my dearest, oldest friend. We've been friends for almost 45 years. Had a terrible break of her ankle, and she's had a bout of cancer this year. So I'm going to go up and spend a week with her, and maybe give back to her some of what she's always given to me, because she's not one of us. How she's ever put up with me all these years, I have no idea. But it's a friendship that I just cherish, and I'm so grateful that I can go and be there for her. And that's only because of all of you. I hope that I made some sense tonight. I just want to close with this. I saw it on my mirror on my dresser today, and I thought I'd read it as a closing. This is Sister Therese. Everything is a grace. Everything is a direct effect. Let me start over. Everything is a grace. Everything is the direct effect of our Father's love. Difficulties, contradictions, humiliations, all the soul's miseries, her burdens, her needs. Everything, because through them she learns humility, realizes her weakness. Everything is a grace, because everything is God's gift. Whatever be the character of life or its unexpected events, to the heart that loves, all is well. Thank you all for listening.